Planet Dolan. Why was a famous movie set buried in the desert for 90 years? How did a man discover 2 new species just by hiking the Rocky Mountains for 5 days? From creepy scenes to impossible riches, here are 10 of the craziest things ever found by hikers. Hey there guys, I'm Denji Dolan's mysterious brother. I'm here to blow your mind with academic research, insight, and other dark magic. Number 10. A hiker near Moab, Utah found some strange looking animal tracks and decided to report them. An ensuing investigation found that the tracks were old, approximately 125 million years old. The tracks were made in mud and hardened into rock over time without ever being disturbed. They uncovered over 200 tracks from at least a dozen different prehistoric animals, some of which have never turned up in a fossil before. One section of the land had preserved a trail of 17 consecutive footprints from the same animal. Number 9. It was 1923 when legendary director Cecil B. DeMille filmed The 10 Commandments in the sand dunes outside Santa Barbara, California. It took 1,500 workers about 6 weeks to build the set for the movie, and after the shooting was finished, the set was buried in the desert and left there for 90 years. Speculation is it would have been too expensive to haul the equipment back to the studio, but they didn't want to just leave it standing there for fear that someone would find it and use it to film a knockoff movie. So they destroyed it and buried it in the desert where it sat like actual Egyptian ruins until they were found and excavated in 2013. Number 8. It's hard to say exactly when this 1882 Winchester Rifle was set against a tree in Nevada's Great Basin National Park. But based on its condition, it looks like it could have been sitting there undisturbed for over 100 years. As to why it was there, it probably just got lost. The original owner probably leaned it up against that tree and then forgot where he left it. Those rifles were expensive too, so it was definitely not left there on purpose. Number 7. You know those times when you're walking in the woods and you just need to make a phone call? Of course, your cell phone has 0 bars, so what do? Apparently, you just stumble upon an English phone booth in the middle of the woods. And then you pick up the phone and probably say something along the lines of, "Hello from the outside." Number 6. In 2014, Bill Agnew of Kingston, Washington went on a 5-day hike in the Colorado Rockies. Along the way, he took samples from a few of the lakes he passed by and brought them back to be studied by microbiologists. His samples turned up 2 species of microbes that had never been seen before. There were only 20 known species of that type of microbe before Agnew's expedition, and only 2 were known to live in the United States. In 5 days, Agnew doubled the number of known species in the US. Number 5. A Redditor was backing through New Mexico when he found the uninhabited remains of an old town. But was it entirely uninhabited? He found a bit of food and supplies sitting around the town, maybe enough for 1 person. None of it looked more than a few days old, and it clearly belonged to someone who was living there rather than passing by. So he looked around town for what appeared to be its single resident. He never found anybody. So the mystery of the almost ghost town remains unsolved. Number 4. In 2013, a mountaineer attempting to scale France's Mont Blanc found something that would already be considered a rare find, the site of a plane crash. But it wasn't just any plane crash. It was from a 1950 Air India flight carrying hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of jewels. Rubies, sapphires, and emeralds were inside a small metal box, obviously belonging to someone who had died on the flight. The climber immediately turned the jewels into the authorities, who went to work finding the owner or heir to the stash. If no rightful owner was found, the climber would get to keep the jewels. Number 3. Finding dead animals on a hike isn't anything unusual, but the circumstances surrounding this are extremely confusing to say the least. Campers in Yellowstone National Park came across a horse skull near their campsite. No body, just the skull. They found the rest of the horse's body still rotting several feet away at the edge of a lake. But the weirdest thing is what they found floating in the lake. There were film strip negatives in the lake floating around the body and near the shoreline. So, what happened to the horse and why was somebody filming it? Number 2. Hikers in the high Tatras Mountains of Slovakia found a frozen lake unlike any you've probably seen before. That's because you kind of can't see it. Standing on top of it, the water is perfectly clear, and you can see straight through to the bottom. This is a result of the water freezing very slowly over time. Murky ice comes from water freezing quickly, leaving impurities trapped inside. This ice is obviously about as pure as it gets. Number 1. On an island in the middle of a small Midwestern river stands a bizarre exhibition that is either a bizarre public art project or something way weirder. The island is home to a clearing with several concrete statues of nude women, or in some cases, just the genital part. There are several sculptures, most of them just the hip section, but there's also a full-body mannequin-like sculpture of a woman on the ground. Her lips, nipples and genitals are all painted gold, and she's wearing nothing but rain boots. Not sure if that's someone's fetish or something, but there you go. That's a thing that exists on a random, otherwise uninhabited island in the middle of a river somewhere.
This video was made possible by our fans over on Patreon. Thanks for your support, guys.
Well, that's it for this countdown, but catch you guys next time.